Peace and blessings, family. I go by the name of DJ 912, man. And right now we finna get into a tutorial on how to make trap soul type beats. There's only a couple elements you need. Those trap soul type beats are very simple, simplistic. And generally what it is, it's a slower tempo with a good vibe to it, man, with some trap drums behind it. So take a neo soul record and just put trap drums behind it, or take a Erykah Badu record, put trap drums behind it, and it's kind of in that sense and that texture when it comes to music. Right now on my screen, I have a beat I've already finished, and I'm gonna show y'all how I added each element, and I'm gonna break it down for you. So let's get straight into it. Let's go. The first thing we gonna introduce to this record is what I started out with first, is the chords. If you don't know how to make chords are very simple. Just basically on the concept, you build a chord every other note. So with this chord, I started on the A, and we're gonna take every other note. So it's A, C, E. One of the first chords I ever learned, still use in music to this day. So give y'all a sound of what it sounds like. Give y'all a listen of what it sounds like. I'm sorry, dang. So here's what the chords sound like by themselves. So the chords are very simple, and I added a bunch of EQs to it, or effects to it. And so the effects evolve around the sound of making like the lo-fi type music. And it's a simple way to do it in FL Studio if you got the well, you should have the plugin that comes with FL Studio. I don't think you have to buy it as an expansion pack. So just go to your mixer window, whatever channel you have your instrument on, and that's actually the plugin, but you're gonna go to this plugin right here, this Maximus plugin. Once you bring it up, this is what it'll look like. Go to presets, go to your lo-fi setting. Once you add it, that's all you need. Give you that lo-fi sound. Now watch how dramatic the sound changes from what you already hear, like this. So what it's gonna sound like. So now we're about to add it on. So with trap soul, you get that kind of that what I call like an underwater vibe, and pretty much what they're doing is they're cutting the high pass off. They're cutting the high end of it off. So once you cut the high end of it off, it gives you that muffled, you know what I'm saying, mid to low end range sound. So what I did also was I added gross beat on. By adding gross beat on, I went to the setting called tremolo, and it's usually all the way up like this, but it was way too much, so I pulled it down. All right, why you ain't gonna play? So this is what it sounded like all the way up. I didn't want that sound, but I wanted that texture of that wave in it to make it sound like the speaker moving, or it gives a little motion in the track. So I just take it from the first little knot right here, pull it all the way down, and then I backed it off as well. If you come over here to your right side of your channel, you'll see this effect usually is all the way it's usually all the way up. But I pulled it back. It's about right there, I think. 73%. Another cool thing too, like I just did, say you don't know where you put the effect at. If you right click and copy before you move it, it'll copy that value. So all you gotta do is click paste, and it's gonna go back to your original setting. That saves a lot of time as well. So this is what it sounds like after the tremolo effect is backed off through gross beat. Then I took it a a step forward and I added one more effect. I wanted to get that widening sound. So by doing that, go to your channels. Insert the effect of this right here, the Fruity Stereo Enhancer. And it kind of gives you that wide field sound. Almost like a movie or something. Kind of give that dramatic effect. So it's another simple preset. Just go in there and click the 4 strings. And me adding this effect on makes it sound like this. And thus you have the first part. So notice it's only 2 chords. Trap soul music ain't really complex or complicated chords. It's very simple, easy to do kind of sounds. So learning what goes in and incorporating it into your own production, but always make it unique, make it your own, add your effects, do whatever to it, make it your signature. Even though it might be a certain style beat, always keep it original to yourself. The next instrument I added was the snares. Now with the snares, I pretty much did the same thing. I added compression with the Fruity compressor. So just go to effects, Fruity compressor right there. Once you do the Fruity compressor, click the preset and just click the drums. And I notice it gives it it gives it a louder tone, but it also gives it a nice crisp, sharp sound. I also added the lo-fi setting on here as well, and I added a reverb. Reverb, play around with it, get tricky with it. I moved the room around so it'll sound different, reflecting off of the walls, and that's what we have to understand when you're dealing with reverb. Imagine you are in an empty room or bathroom and you hear that slight echo. That's what reverb is. So you can add a lot of it, or you can add, you know what I'm saying, very little. So I added a lot and then I took off some. Next up is the hi-hats. I didn't really do anything to these hi-hats, I don't believe, except for panning them. When it comes to your instruments, make sure you just pan. It gives the artist more vocal room to do what they want to do. And in trap soul, a lot of things are panned very well, or it's not a lot of instruments, so it's predominantly for like the artist. Even with a Drake song, if you listen to his, a lot of the mid section of the beats are cut out so his vocals can stick out and punch through more. So with the hi-hats, there's no EQ on it. It's just a regular hi-hat. And I chopped some of it. So if you was wondering how I get it to roll right here, basically all you do use this shortcut, highlight it, hit Alt U, and take it to the chopper, and this time multiple lets you chop it not so much or very much. So that's how I achieved that aspect of it. The next is just a simple, like it's an open hi-hat. It's basically just something to give you a little feel to it. And also with this, I pitched it down. So you wonder why I pitched it down. It's also to give it that underwater effect without having a bunch of EQs or effects on it. And if your computer doesn't hold a lot of memory, or it's not a strong processor, the more effects you put on each channel will bog your processor down and make it run slow and laggy. So if you want to, you know what I'm saying, save PC power, this is what you need to do. It's just learn different ways to manipulate your sound, or run it through SYN channels, which is a totally different tutorial. But next was the open hi-hats. Then I added this little melody, well, not a melody to it. It's just something to break it up so it won't sound so mundane. It won't sound so day in and day out, 9 to 5 type thing. So it's a E piano out of X-Band 2. It's one of my favorite plugins right now. And the E piano is already kind of a trap soul vibe type thing. So here you go. making your beats, especially when you're making soulful beats, you want it to sound like somebody's actually playing. You want to sound like somebody's in the studio with their keyboard, their guitar, whatever. Learn how to manipulate the piano roll, because this one is not on beat purposely. This note right here, that one is, these two aren't either. It's the way I played it. So it's basically like just rolling your fingers really. That's not gonna be completely on time. So the more you learn how to play or learn how to manipulate it, or you can just slide it until it get to that point where it's actually rolling. On to the next step was another percussive sound, which I put a lot of reverb on it because I wanted to give it a different feel. And it's basically it's like a drum, or like a real drum sound. So I'm gonna solo it so you guys can hear it. And pretty much what I did there was put another reverb on it, made the room large. I added a lot of a reverb to it too. So wet means you add more, dry means you taking all of the sound out. So dry actually like it's like you getting the best of both worlds when you have dry and wet. But if you take dry completely out, you're gonna have nothing but wet, so you can have complete reverb. Um, and that's pretty much it till you get to the drums. Now with the drums, I want to say I got this out of a Sound Oracle drum kit. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's the Ben Trapping 2 plugin. It's the Ben Trapping 2 sound kit from soundoracle.net. He got some really dope drum kits on there. And it already has a little distortion on it. So here's the drum. To make that note slide, find you a drum that kind of pitches first. And what I mean by that is without you having to go in here and change the settings for it, that it kind of already moves to that note, and you have to listen for that. So if I take the slide part off, you still kind of hear it moving. It's already changing its tone. But how you get the slide effect is you bring up the 808 sample. So basically, you go to the channel, you click it, and then you go to the wrench tool. On the wrench tool, you hit Porto. Once you click Porto, you slide this up to around about that area, or until you get how you want it the slide. So the more of the slide that you add on, the longer it takes to slide. And depending on what you're doing, it might work for you, it might not. So going to the piano roll with your 808, and basically all you want to do is take the note. And notice that these 808s are stretched out very long, but they probably don't last that long. Generally, they don't. So that's why this one is kind of far up. So you just click any note wherever you want it to slide to. Double click the note, hit this slide button right here, so it actually do the motion. So you see I have that slide note right here. So here's what it sounds like. So you catch it sliding like that, you know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much it, man. In this record, I also added some vocals to it. So what I did was set my mic up to sing, which I can't really sing, so I auto-tuned it, and I used a couple different plugins. Each plugin has its own different features of why I used it. This Waves tune, I got it on sale from the Waves website. It's like it was like 20-30 bucks or something. But what it does is it holds your notes when you're hitting the wrong notes without doing the auto tune thing. So you get pitch correction without auto tune. And the reason why I have these notes marked out so they don't play those notes. I can go more in detail about that later on. The next thing was Don't Mind Picture. It's pretty much the same thing as the auto tune, but I added auto tune. I very little of it, and I added the lo-fi on top of it. You know what I'm saying, to give you that water sound. Then I added the reverb to give it another different texture, and I EQ'd it. And so this is what I mean by taking out that top end. I rolled all that top end off and all the low end off, because when I added the reverb, my vocals was kind of deep. I was kind of sick yesterday when I did it. So it made the low end pick up real heavy, and I didn't like it to sound real muddy. So once I got the vocal, I actually stretched it. It wasn't this long. So I stretched the vocal, it pitched it down, and it gave me a neat sound. And this is what it sounds like. So the reason why it sounds so far back, like I was saying before, is that reverb is taking that dry almost down to nothing. So you getting pretty much the whole reverb effect. You know what the lo-fi do. I showed y'all what that does. So here's the whole beat. That vocal sound was because if you listen to a lot of trap soul music, they have a lot of samples in it, and the samples have people singing in the background to where it's like moody as hell. So just pay attention, like really listen to the music and don't just hear it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I sit in a room when I'm vibing to some music and I want to make a record something similar to it, and I cut all the lights off, I cut my phone off, and I just close my eyes and I picture myself in the studio and I try to separate each sound one by one. So if you go to Bryson Tiller's first album, which is when the trap soul thing really popped off, it's 2015, you hear a lot of those samples in there and you hear what I'm talking about. So normally that vocal wouldn't even be that loud, and in the full mix down I will bring it down probably a lot more, but I just wanted you guys to hear it. So I'm gonna turn it down right now so you can hear what I'm saying. Dominant sound, you still want it to play in the background. And there you have it, man. That's a trap soul beat by me, your boy DJ 912. It's your boy DJ 912, and that's the trap soul tutorial. Make sure you guys hit that like button, comment below, and most definitely hit that subscribe button, so you'll be notified every time a new video is uploaded. Also hit that notifications button so you can be the first one to view it.